Got to get it, Papa. Well, here I am at the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. And yeah, I'm not here to get my pistol permit today, but I am here to see something that's right across the street over that way. And it's pretty amazing. Plus, this is our beginning of our exciting episode of with involving nautical nonsense. As you can tell, I dressed the part, more or less. But anyway, what I'm talking about is right across the street. Look that. Yes, right across the street here is a big ship. And look, it's all kind of old and ghostly looking from this point. And that's about as close as we can get to it from this side. But you just wait and see what else happens. But that, you can barely see it on the front. That is the SS United States. And it was launched in 1951. And it still holds a record for the fastest, as the fastest ocean liner on the water. And it's still on the water right now. But you say, well, it's all crusty and old looking and dirty and everything, even though it really is a cool looking ship. The problem is that it fell into disrepair, etc., and all that, even though it's represented the United States for a long time, and it's kind of a namesake because it's called the SS United States. They don't use this kind of ship anymore. Plus, with all the asbestos and toxic materials and stuff they used to use to build things, it's pretty much obsolete and nobody can afford to do much with it. So they are stripping the inside out. They already did most of it. It's like a shell inside, and now they're just cleaning out the last of the bad materials. And that's why I wanted to come see it, because in a few months the SS United States is going to be at the bottom of the Gulf near Pensacola, I think. So it's a huge loss. It's a huge loss. It would be really fun to go on a cruise. Whoa, look out. To go on a cruise or a transatlantic trip on that ship. Never had the opportunity to do it, and never will. No one will ever have an opportunity to do that. So what we did, there's a special boat tour that you can get on, and that's where the nautical nonsense begins for Luke Dat today, because we're going to go on the boat and it's going to bring us around the other side on the water. It's actually still sitting in the water right now, and they actually towed it here with some giant tugboats. They brought it all the way from Philadelphia, and you know, that's it on its last journey. It made its last big cruise around the end of Florida and came all the way up to Mobile. So there you go. I'll try to zoom in a little bit more from this side. You can see a little bit of stuff, but it was really cool ship in its day, and it's really sad to see it have to go. Well, here I am, and look at the water behind me. This is Mobile, and that's the water we went under not that long ago in the car. And right now I'm at the convention center that's right on the water, not in it, but next to it. And if you look in the back, that's a secret Navy ship that they were working on last time I was here for the Lego convention. And I'll put that number down here so you can watch that exciting adventure if you dare. And they must be almost finished with that by now, I guess. I don't know. But here's the reason I'm over here. Well, part of the reason. This is my transportation reason, and it's right over there. Yes, look that little boat right there. It's a pontoon boat, and they give little tours of the bay and stuff like that, but we're gonna get a tour of something else. And yeah, if you hadn't figured it out yet, then you're gonna be figuring it out pretty doggone soon. But yeah, it's active shipyards and port and everything around here, and they do all kind of stuff. They build all kind of things that go in the water over there. And look that, that's the little river, that's the little river boat that floats around down here too, and they do some tours and stuff too. So there's plenty of ways to get tours around here. And look, there's some real live river traffic coming toward us. It's going to push some stuff around or something. See if they toot their horn at us or something, or throw stuff. And one of the traditions of river life is when you see people standing on a bank, you go by fast and either splash them or you throw dead fish at them or something. So we're gonna see what happens. Because here they go. Look that. Okay, I'm ready to duck, but nobody's coming out to throw stuff, so maybe they might be taking a nap. Yep, it's almost time to go. And just to prove it, there's the water, and there's my hand for scale.
Marine. We'll talk about them today. The first hour of the tour is going to be devoted to the SS United States. The second hour is going to be devoted to the harbor. So you're going to get a bonus today. States. She is 990 feet long. I'm going to move out just a little bit so you can actually see better. She's 101.5 feet wide at her widest point. She won the title for the fastest crossing from the U.S. to England, and that was beat the Queen Mary by 10 hours. It was 3 days and several hours was her actual time. She traveled at 35.69 knots. Now that's about 40 miles an hour. That's really fast for a ship. If you'll notice, the top 3 floors have aluminum rails. Also, the funnel stacks are made out of aluminum. In 1950, this vessel was the first vessel that used more aluminum than any other vessel in history. The reason was they needed to make it lighter. If you'll notice on the funnels, there's some wings on the top of the funnels. Those are to divert the exhaust away from the passengers on the deck. And you'll see some people working out there. Most of the ones you see are going to be on the outside. If you go on the inside, you have to use a breathing system because the air is pretty contaminated in there. They've got a lot of asbestos, a lot of lead paint, and that's what they're doing. This is MARS. That stands for Modern American Recycling and Radiology. And they handle things like nuclear waste, steel, anything that can be recovered. They were able to convert the ship in a very short period of time to a troop-carrying ship if there were a national emergency. She had 3 different galleys. Let's see, 4 Westinghouse engines, 2 of the propellers were 4-bladed, and 1 of the propellers was 2 of the propellers were 4-bladed, and 2 of the props were 5-bladed. Now, Gibbs and Cox were very progressive, not only in their building, but also in their hiring. Her keel was laid in 1950, and she was launched in 1952. But they put a female engineer in charge of the propulsion system. Her name was Elaine Kaplan. Now, that was real big in the 50s, very big. Something like that was still going on in the 60s, and my mother can attest to that, because she became an insurance agent, and the supervisor that hired her said, look, if you were a man, I could have got you $404 a month. That's the true story. Now the area where you see the longer windows, that's about the third deck. That is also the promenade deck. That's where everyone would sit with their lounge chairs. They had a couple of bars, pianos, cigar bars, stewards carrying food. The lady who was on board my vessel last week, she was on there right after she graduated from college, and she had been talking to this man for about an hour, and she didn't know who he was. Turns out it was Chief Justice Warren of the Supreme Court. A lot of famous people wanted to be on this vessel, and they were. James Cagney, John Wayne, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Bill Clinton in his younger years. Had another lady who came over on the United States from France as a baby with her mother, who was French. And a lot of people immigrated on this vessel. Now sadly, she only lasted 17 years. There's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, it's extremely expensive to operate a vessel like this. But now, Gibbs and Cox, for the first few years of her life, they had that relationship with the government. And the price tag on this vessel was $78.1 million in the 1950s money, which would be close to $1 billion today. The U.S. government picked up 65% of it because of their ability to transport federal troops in a national emergency. Thank goodness they never had to use it. Now, I mentioned something about pianos a minute ago. They got with Theodore Steinway of Steinway Piano, and they said, we want an aluminum piano. And he said, my God, man, what are you talking about? It would sound terrible. And he said, well, the Hindenburg had one. Well, that wasn't a good excuse. Steinway was just taken aback because he was very proud of his mahogany piano. So he came to their office with a piano. He took a 5-gallon can of gas and poured it on top of the piano in their office and set it on fire. And as soon as the gas burned off, it just sat there and smoldered. Gibbs and Cox looked at each other and said, okay, we'll take it for you. True story. True story. Now, there are 2 masts in the front and 2 masts in the rear. Those are for loading and unloading cargo. Cargo can be cars, trucks, luggage, of course, food, liquor, all sorts of things. And those holes, one fore and one aft, would hold all that material. Now, just behind the 2 forward masts is the bridge. You can see one of the wings out there, and you can see a tall single mast going up. Looks like it's got a watchtower about halfway, a little more than halfway up. That is exactly what it is. The bottom has some rises and it has some falls, and that changes every single day. Bar pilots know where the shallow spots are, and how to make sure you navigate this body of water safely. That is their job. Now, Mobile was first discovered and opened in about January 6th of 1702. King Louis of France declared that there would be a bar pilots association in 1711. They've been around for quite a while. And what happened January 6th, 1703? The first Mardi Gras celebration in the United States. Now, a lot of people say, well, it started in Louisiana. Now, there is some truth to that because this was the Louisiana Territory at that time.
I'm so sure. Can we do it? Yes.
We're going to be going over to the East Bank, and but we're going to let this barge pass first.
Look at it.
Well, we sure are appreciative of Captain Chris being able to tell us all this information about the SS United States and give us some really good views of something that is not going to be able to be seen like this for much longer. In the next exciting episode of Look Dat, we're going to get to see the rest of the port and some of the other ships and equipment and things in the area. If you've never seen stuff like this, you better tune back in to Look Dat.